I'm just gonna start recording and see what happens. Um, behind the scenes here, behind the scenes, right? Walking you through what happens when you start a project creatively. You know, I've had different shows and different accounts over the years. I had a big Facebook following at one point up until 2015 when that ended. An Instagram account back when they, were less like they are today, or maybe closer to they are today. But before the great purge and the great cleansing went, I've had a website for a while. I've had different channels up, and I end up procrastinating, trying to do do perfection. When like right now, you see this backdrop here, right, that I put together, and I didn't know what I was going to do for the background, right? And then I was like, I was like trying to picture, all right, I got the background, I built this. It took me a couple weeks to build this wooden background here, right? That's actually hardwood, and then I got a frame behind it with some legs. It's a false backdrop, and then behind that backdrop, I put a lot of stuff that was in my office that I needed storage space, right? And then I was like, I don't know what to put behind me. And I was trying to like curate it, right, into something that was like good for the algo, right? Good for this, good for the people that I don't even know. And then I just forgot about it, right? And I actually needed a place to like always put my firearm. And those boxes actually have some like electrical components in it that I get to and stuff. And my ammo box was up in my closet. It was a pain in the ass to get to because you got to bring it down or whatever. And I always kept it in my office and then would put it back. And so I was like, why don't I just keep it in my office, right? And then it's wintertime here in New England. So I had to bring my plants in. And typically I put them like over here, but it would be in the way. And I was like trying to be like, where do I put them so I can enjoy them? And I was like, oh, why don't I just turn the studio like, this is, I mean, maybe this looks crappy to some people, but this is just the basic life that I'm living. And RIP to my two flowers here that spring up every year. I forget what these are called. I remembered at one point a couple weeks ago, they had just bloomed. It's crazy how quickly they bloom up, blossom, and then go. So I'm keeping them there because it reminds me that this too shall pass. So even when you have like beauty like that, it's going to pass, and it's, it's going to go through its different stages. And when you go this next year, a new sprout will come up. I mean, this has got 3 sprouts on it now. It was 1 sprout when I got it. It was nothing when I got it. It was a bulb that I rescued. Same with all these. These are all rescue plants. I got them when they were almost dying, and now they're sad. So, so I was like, I want to do a philosophy show. My beard keeps getting caught in this thing, but I want it to be authentic, right? I want it to be authentic. And, I have the studio here, right? And then I have this big bright light here and these big bright lights. And I have 2 screens, and I'm like supposed to look into this camera right here and talk to you like you're a human, like I'm making eye contact with this cyclopic lens that is humanity, and talking like this into this microphone, which is like the ear of humanity, right? And then you get these feelings of like uncomfortableness when you can't relax and just be yourself, because it's like, I need to write this script and it's got to be perfect. And if I make a mistake, it's not going to go viral. People aren't going to listen to me. And so like, so I get, here, let me pull this up here. I guess we'll take a little break here. I do have to plug the show, and this feels so unauthentic as well, right? But I do have a LinkedIn page if you want to support my creation. It's YouTube and Instagram. X, formerly Twitter, my website and blog where all the show notes and everything goes up for this. I have a Cash App if you'd like to leave a tip. I have a TikTok. I'm starting a Discord, and then I also have Subscribestar, which is just a place where if you guys want to support me, this is like a decentralized platform, a little more decentralized and safer platform. And then also if you want to do crypto donations. But anyways, I wanted to go over to this page here because I was like working on, I found this video and it's like a creator and they're like, tell your story. And then I was like using Chat GPT to go through and give me a structure for a script. And at that point, you just become, you become enslaved, for lack of a better word, to this algorithm of virality, right? And attention. And you become a prisoner of what you are trying to do to make yourself happy, to be fulfilled, to get on purpose, to help other individuals. And then eventually, you can snap. I'm just picturing that I guess he's not such a young gentleman anymore. Hassan Piker had some incidents recently on stream where his dog, which is like in the background, right, may or may not have been electrocuted, may hit their paw or whatever on the side. But I mean, forget all that, right? Forget the issue with that young man or that middle-aged man with whether or not like he electrocuted a dog. His life is a series of events, starting with the Young Turks up to where it is now, where similar to like, I didn't know what to put in the background here. His mind has been controlled kind of by the algo where he's like, I want a dog, but I'm on stream for 8 hours a day. Can I get this big dog and keep it in this small area in the background? You know what I mean? For like a doggy cam for 5 hours a day. And I'm not saying that who knows what's going on all the time. But for me, it's like that is... So often we think of like sympathy and empathy and putting ourselves in other people's shoes and compassionate as this idea of like, what would you want them to do for you? Or think of the babies. If you don't like, subscribe and comment on this video, think of what'll happen to the babies. But it's a tool of like, being able to go outside yourself put yourself in another situation that you might not even agree with the politics or the lifestyle or the individual, kind of see how they got there. And when you put that into perspective, it's like, it's not like you want to feel sorrow for him in a way that it's okay that he did that or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, think about like the pieces maybe of how it got there. So like I'm saying this right here or me right here, like it's taken me, who am I, right? Oh, maybe this is how I get into the video here. I think what I'm going to start doing is what I did today. It's been 9 minutes. I'm going to just turn this on, feel relaxed, not feel the pressure of making a video that's right on topic, that's fitting a trending topic. Yesterday or the day before, I recorded a Sweeney video about the thing, and it kind of did move me to do it, but at the same time, it did feel a little bit dirty in the fact that it's like, I'm trying to like get some attention off of the algorithm because it's popular, whatever. And I did have some thoughts on it, and it is frustrating to watch other people watch that when they're oblivious to some of the underlying things. But then you're kind of like taking some of the magic away from life from people. You're shedding you're shedding the innocence away. When you break something down like that, and I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I don't want these to turn into, or maybe I do. There's like, if you've ever listened to or seen The Lord of the Rings, right? There's a time where, there's Gandalf the Grey, who's this wizard, and he's pretty much teamed up with what the movie portrays as the good side. They're going to take the Ring of Power. They're going to go on this journey. They're going to come together and they're going to throw it into a volcano. And they go on this big epic adventure, right, with Gandalf the Grey. And he teams up with the author's and the viewer's idea of goodness, right? And then at one point he makes a huge sacrifice in the movie, falls down. You think that he is dead, but he's such a powerful wizard that he rises back up, and now he's Gandalf the White, signifying that he's like crossed over. He's no longer this neutral guy. He's a shining light of goodness. But anyways, Gandalf, which I don't have to tell you about, I'm sure a lot of you know, there's a scene where they're like, dude, there's this wizard out there and he's so strong and powerful and he could be so helpful right now. But like, where is he? Where is he? We need him. And eventually he shows up and they're like, where have you been? You're late. And he says to them, a wizard, is never early, is never late. He arrives precisely on time. And there's a lot of different ways. Why am I going into a Christopher Walken's? There's a lot of different ways that you can perceive that comment or take that comment from the wizard, right? But we used to have a thing when I was doing Common Sense Anarchy 21 on the Facebook group where I would say, people like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring the conversation here. And I would say, kind of quoting that Gandalf thing, a conversation goes exactly where it needs to go, exactly when it needs to go there. So here, me following my thoughts on that, I don't think that I want to structure my videos. I do a podcast every Saturday night, a live stream with Dalton Pruitt on Cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. It's a talk show. We have a lot of comedians, a lot of comic relief, let loose, have fun. It's a Saturday night. And it's not scripted. We don't really have segments. Sometimes we do come up with bits and they flop, or I do at least. And I've learned a lot that it's kind of like just fun to show up. It's kind of like an improv-y show in a way like that, right? And I think that would be best for me, maybe for you, for me to use this as like a cleansing of my brain. I do feel much more relaxed right now. I just woke up. I took a shower. It's like 8:50 a.m. here in the East Coast. I've like got up, showered, brushed my teeth. I made some coffee. I had some water. And I feel so much more comfortable behind the camera, not worrying about the time, not worrying about the topic, just talking to you. It has made me understand why people like the live stream with the comments, because I'm sitting here alone in the room, right? And I don't have somebody to soundboard back and off from. So I'm really just cleansing my mind here, like a meditation, just letting it go, turning it verbal, shooting it out to you, where if you have a live chat, you're kind of interacting with the randomness of the universe, right? But pinning that back to the Gandalf thing, when he says the wizard never arrives early, never arrives late, they arrive precisely on time. When you hear that, you're thinking like, oh, like a wizard, he's magical, right? He knows exactly the point in time where and when to arrive, right? And it's everybody else in the world who is not magical and who is dumb who perceives it as late or on time, right? And that on the surface level kind of seems like, you know, what it is. But then I started thinking and I was like, on a larger scale, it's kind of like if you just relax into the universe, into the fabric of the situation, kind of like this video. And instead of saying my show has to grow this big by this amount of time, I mean, it's okay to have goals, but instead of saying like, okay, when my show is this big, it'll be successful and I'll love it. And if this happens to my show, I'll hate it. And instead of just like living in the moment and being like, this is where I want to be recording a show, putting some thoughts into the world so people can enjoy them, maybe learn and have a better life, right? And think of it more of like, if you can be in the moment, if you can be here, instead of like dwelling in the past. When we dwell in the past, it ends up being like depression. Or when you are time traveling, look into the future, if you go too far or think about too many things, small things in the future, it becomes anxiety. If you kind of rest here and think that everything's going to be okay and everything's happening as if it should be happening, and you kind of sit right in that cusp of the white water of life where, you know, it's kind of like surfing. You're sitting in the wave and you're just kind of watching like life open up to you. And as it happens, you navigate it. I personally feel a lot better. You know what I mean? This video, I had no idea where this video was going to go, right? And the anxiety has actually left my body, being able to let the creativity of where I wanted to go just take over and not be beside myself. So let's just go back to some philosophy that I think you could personally use in everyday situation where you're trying to search for maybe a contentment in your life. On a lot of times people are like, oh, are you happy? Are you unhappy? And it's like, and then I think they take happiness like joy, right? Like, are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy all the time. You're a lunatic if you're happy all the time, right? It's kind of like the old yin yang symbol where the fact that you're happy right now is only because you're not suffering. So you want to be able to see the two things. You need to suffer so that you can enjoy not suffering, and vice versa. But I digress. Let's go back to the mental time traveling that we all do. So there's something called, I guess you would call it the flow state. I was exactly in the flow state for a little bit with the video. Now I'm kind of like right on the cusp. Like if there's a flow state line going right down the middle, there's part of me that's kind of thinking about what I'm doing and part of me that's not. I'm not quite in the flow state. I'm kind of outside of it. And I've moved to a point where it's not anxiety, but it's a brink towards looking in the future, right? And that kind of takes you out of the moment. It's in a comedian would say like not committing fully to the bit, right? But there is a good point of anxiety where you're slightly ahead of like the audience, you're slightly ahead of the story where you were thinking. So let's go back to the idea of being in that wave, right? There is a nice flow state if you could just relax and you're just hitting that wave because you are been there so many times before that it doesn't even affect you, right? You're not scared. You know, whatever comes your way, you're going to figure it out. But you don't know what's ahead of you, right? But if you can lock in and say, I've always figured it out in the past, I will always figure it out in the future, then you can relax and enjoy that wave instead of panicking, right? So think about life and we'll talk a little bit about depression right now, right? If you've ever been depressed or thinking, and I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a drug dealer. I'm just somebody that has experienced depression in the past, talked about it, meditated with it, spoken to other people about it, and really, really reflected on the idea of depression. While before I had it, during having it, on the other side of it, paying attention to when it's on the horizon or why it might be on the horizon so you can control that. And I don't know. So some of it is a hormonal chemicals, right? So you want to make sure that you're eating right, hydrating, having nutrients and stuff. That your body is making dopamine and serotonin, and you can get into the different euphoric states that you need to be in with oxytocin and stuff. Because if you don't, if you're not in a healthy physical state, your body will signal that to you through those negative feelings, right? And so there is a physical element to it. One of the issues I think we've had throughout the years, and we've known this for a while. Socrates talked about this. The Egyptians talked about this. It's not a new subject. It's a subject that we haven't internalized yet, but it's not the mind, the body, and the soul, or the mind, the body, and the essence. It's mind, body, and essence. Mind, body, and soul. They're connected. Doing the hands. I'm doing the lobster claw hands, the TikTok claw. So right to have the camera. But they're connected. It's three. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's the mind, the body, and the soul, right? It's the mind, the body, and the essence. And so the Holy Trinity of those things is that you need to be, or one would want to work on being. If your mind is healthy, right? It's that's actually flesh. You know what I mean? Like there is electrical charges in there, but that flesh has to be working healthy. It's connected to you. And then you have to have a healthy body, exercise it, move it, feed it, encourage it. And then those, the electrical charges in there is the essence, is the soul. And in order for them to be firing properly, you have to have those all intertwined properly, right? So you have, when you're looking into the past, for instance, and you're dwelling on that, and it's okay, you might get huge amounts of cortisol and stress drugs and hormones after a breakup or a loss of a job or a loss of a loved one, any sort of something that you're used to breaks apart, and you were hoping that it would continue. And so you're looking back into your life in the past, you're time traveling, and you're like, well, what if I did this, 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 and this? Would this have happened? And this, and you're trying to reconstruct something. So you are creating a suffering within yourself, because yes, you are chemically producing stuff and your body is feeling a particular way. But the dwelling on the past and in ruminating, I guess, on each little thing that happened and hyper-focusing on it, and then in your mind's eye, pretending that you can change it, right? And then you would get a new outcome, is a dangerous behavior. I think if you notice yourself doing that in your brain, you notice that pattern, you start noticing that you are going to give yourself depression on top of the chemical release of depression. And I'm not saying that you should just, hey, snap out of it. I'm saying you are in control of moving yourself into a different position, right? So back to the Gandalf thing, where it's like, the wizard arrives exactly where it needs to be. He's never early, he's never late, is exactly on time. And I hope I'm getting that quote right. If not, correct me in the comments. This whole video, I'll throw this whole video away. It sucks. The point still stands, right? So when you're looking back into the past and you're dwelling on it, you're kind of like trying to move it with your mind to change it, but it can't be changed, right? So you're creating suffering here for something that you're trying to remember in the past that doesn't even exist anymore. Instead of trying to sit here, be in the moment and realize, oh, I'm not suffering. There's nobody coming at me. I'm actually in a very safe spot inside a house right now with nothing to worry about. That's behind me. Let's not ruin this part of my life because of stuff that happened behind me, right? And then on the other end of it, you can look forward, and there is a good part of looking forward and planning, right? And you're like, okay, if I were to, start saving $100 every month, by the end of the year, I would have $1,200. That's a healthy in the moment plan where you're being empathetic to your future self. You have a plan in a GPS location, and the GPS location is going through the fourth dimension of time, where here's one pinpoint, here's a second pinpoint. At this pinpoint, I want $1,200. How do I navigate from point A to point B? If I put $100 every month, the future me a month from now will have 100, and then 2, then 3, and then the 12-month me will have $1,200, right? Creating healthy incremental goals that are structured, but not to the point of hyper perfection. And we can get into this in other videos about how, if you're comfortable with hyper planning, you can manifest stuff, but you're not really manifesting stuff. You're visualizing plans, and then you're putting those plans into action. But they have to come from a place of health, because if you say, for instance, what I was doing with myself with this podcast, I'm like, okay, I got to do the podcast. What videos I'm going to make? Okay, where am I going to post them? How am I going to post them? And then you start giving you this whole list, this whole list of things that I need to do. And I'm micromanaging each thing to the point where you're creating anxiety by time traveling into the future and being like, 10 years from now, the 10-year me, what's he going to do when this happens? And it's like, well, that 10-year me is going to have 10 years of experience to figure that out, right? So if I sit on this wave of the podcast and I go forward and I understand that there's going to be events on the horizon, but I will solve them as they come up, I'll be okay, and I'll build new skill systems, right? Let's take it down to some small tasks. I've seen people online, right, that are like, oh, I want to order food, but I'm afraid to call. So I get my phone and I do this, or I'm going to practice this, or I have autism, or I have social anxiety or whatever. I believe that a lot of this is coming from a lack of a skill. In order to get that skill, you just have to recognize what the skill is, right? Write down a plan or think about a plan for the skill, and then just execute it. And then once you've executed it enough times, once you've executed it enough times, you won't worry about what's going to happen, right? Because you can't plan everything. So just be in that moment, right? This is going to sound foolish to some people that do this, but some people do have issues with it. But like, I'm going to say I want to order a pizza, and I have the idea. I want to get pizza. I want it to be, a 16-inch pizza. I want it to have cheese, vegan cheese, spinach, olives, tomatoes. And so now I'm like, oh, what if I call them and they don't have tomatoes? What am I going to get? Or what if they don't have vegan cheese? Or what if they're out the 16-inch dough? And then you're just like, I'm not going to call. That's too much. But the person on the other end is not some monster. They want to help you get a pizza. That's their whole job. They want to help you get a pizza. And the idea to think that there's an evil person on the other line that's going to stop me from getting a pizza instead of help me to get a pizza is a negative track that you've built up in your brain. Maybe from interacting with negative people that stressed you out, and you become a pattern. And then you get so scared about it that you like try to plan everything in the future, and then you create that anxiety, right? And it's just step by step. I'm going to break this down very simple. It might seem foolish to some, but it might be helpful to others. And you can just take this and expand this into life with more complex issues, right? First of all, I want to eat. What do I want to eat? I want to eat a pizza. What do I want to eat? Get on that pizza. Okay, maybe you don't even know what you want to get on the pizza or what size or whatever. The person on the other line is helpful, right? There's this thing called paranoia. Paranoia is when you're like kind of convinced that everybody's trying out to get you. There's another much less used word called pronoia. And it's basically the whole universe is conspiring to help you. So if you can set your mind into a pronoia mindset and say, oh, I want a pizza. Pizza places sell pizza. They want to get as much pizza and food into me as possible. Why don't I call them up? And some people are aggravated with that, but most people can be sympathetic to you in your endeavors. And what I mean by that, if you were like an alien technology and you came here, and some of you kind of are, right? You can just pick up the phone and call the pizza place and say, hello, I've never ordered a pizza from you today. I need some help. They know how to take a pizza order. They do it all day long, right? So if they're the expert, right, and they want to sell you something, instead of you freaking out about all that stuff and pretending like you're an expert and giving yourself anxiety, and you can do this in all endeavors of life. I'm just picking a very simple topic. You just call the pizza place up and you say, hello, I've never ordered from you before. I need or want to get a vegan pizza. What would you recommend? Or how can we do that? Or can you help me? And they'll be like, sure. What size do you want? You know, it might be their next question. And you say, I don't know what size I want. Hang up. You're like, I don't know. What sizes do you have? They're there to help you, right? This is Pronoia. They're conspiring to get you the best pizza in the world. All right. So then they're like, okay, we have a size 4. Is it just for you? Is it for your family? It's just for me. Are you really hungry? You're a little bit hungry? I'm just a little bit hungry. Okay, we have a 14-inch pizza. That'll probably be good for you. You said you're vegan. We can put cashew cheese on that. Is that something that you would like? And then you're like, yes. And they're like, do you want toppings? And then all you have to do is be like, would you you don't even have to say, yes, I want toppings, or no. You could just say, would you recommend any toppings? They want to build you the perfect pizza. They're conspiring. They literally are sitting by a phone, waiting for it to ring to give pizzas to you, right? This is how you have to, it's not how, you don't have to do anything. Your life is going to go a lot better if you sit around thinking this, right? Even not the pizza thing, right? We can put this on any business. We can put this on dating, right? You get on a dating app, you match with somebody. Everybody's trying to act aloof, which is fine. But if you're not interested in aloof people, don't be aloof, right? Message them hi. They're like, hi. Or they don't message you back, right? Which is a good sign. But if they message you back and you're like, hey, I'm on this dating app. Like, I saw you what do you on, like, what are you on here for, or whatever. And people are going to say this is terrible advice. If you want to be results oriented, then this is going to be bad advice for you. Meaning, like, if you're just trying to get on dates, or you're just trying to, like, you could call a pizza place, right? You could say, I want hamburgers. I want a hamburger. I want it to have cheese, pickles, and onions, right? And then you can call up Papa John's and say, hey, I want a hamburger with pickles, onions, and whatever. And they're going to say, oh, we don't have that here. And he's like, yeah, but I want one. So what if, do you have bread there? They're like, we have dough. Can you mold the dough into buns for me? And they're like, no, we can't do this. And like, please. And you're just like on the phone bothering them, trying to turn a pizza joint into a hamburger joint, right? This is the same thing when you are in a relationship or an interaction, or even making videos here. If you're not honest and open with that person, and you're talking to them from a place of like manipulation and questioning, or even when the experience and you're doing it to yourself, if I'm manipulating you as an audience and I'm manipulating myself thinking, okay, I want 1 million followers, so I have to act in a particular way to get 1 million followers, right? Back to what I was saying in the beginning, it becomes an enslavement to yourself, and a stress and an argument, right? You're always like this glooming thing over your shoulder to do. So if you go into situations and you're nervous because you're looking to the future with everything, similar to how I was doing this with this video and with the audience and with you, I'm finding to sit back and relax and let it open up more. So the idea would be, one, this way you're not trying to manipulate the other people to become what you need them to be. I'm not going to try to manipulate you as an audience to be philosophers or to follow me or do all this stuff. If you like me, please subscribe, please share, please check all my stuff. And if you think what I'm doing here is going to be very useful today to people, please support me financially so that I can quit doing everything else in my life and hyper focus on this. But lost my train of thought. Oh, so, you want to try to sit in that moment of a situation. And I'm going to do it here for a second because I've literally lost my train of thought by going into the advertisements. Okay. So when you're building stuff, right, and you're building them from a place of inauthenticity, if you're not being authentic while you do them, and then you look back in the future, you're going to look at your whole life and start getting very panicky, wondering, how did I get here, right? I feel happy when my life is this, but I've done this and I'm very unhappy. And I see this online a lot with people, and we do want to be part of a tribe, and we do want to fit in to a certain extent. And you shouldn't be like destroying other people's happiness or lives or whatever in order to make yourself happy. But how do we do this? We'll go back to the first principle of libertarianism or anarcho-capitalism or voluntarism, which is the consent of the interaction. And part of that consent, the voluntary consent between two individuals, is that you're trying to interact in a way that you're not using fraud, okay? And fraud is a very gray area of theft because you're using coercion and words and magical spells to either get resources, time, or energy from an individual under false pretenses. And it is difficult to live in a world of pure authenticity, right? Because there is a point of view that wants to conform a little bit so that the people around you and the world around you also can feel comfortable, right? But you don't want to slip so far away from authenticity that you become controllable by your surroundings, right? You're walking a line of how do I keep my independence while also conforming to people around me so that they can voluntarily consent. You got to voluntarily consent in the arrangement. So I'm not sure where I want to go with this now. And actually, you know what? This will be good. I'm actually struggling right now, right? So this is perfect. Actually, this is perfect now, right? So I was just doing it there. I was just doing it right in real time. I was in a position where I'm trying to be the authority, the philosopher here. And this great speaker. I'm this perfect speaker. Tune in, follow me, subscribe, give me money. I'm the best philosopher speaker there ever was. Never make a mistake when I do these videos. I'm just off the cuff. Everything that I say is 100% true. Everything you say is 100% wrong. And probably I looked down at the time, around the 38-minute mark when I did the ads, I kind of dropped. I kind of like the conversation brought me all the way here. And then I was like, okay, it should go here. And as I tried to push through that I felt unnatural, but I'm like, keep going. Don't mess this up. This has got to be perfect. The video was really good up to that point. Oh, you're losing them. You need to have this all figured out. And I could feel the doubt coming in. And me being in that flow state, like right in that line of comfort in the moment, was kind of like moving outside, and I was like starting to watch everything close and watch myself over my shoulder instead of being here. And I didn't even I recognized my nervousness, and maybe you can rewind and go back and kind of see me struggling and floundering. I recognized that emotionally and felt uncomfortable, and I wanted to stop, but it took me a couple minutes to be like, can I be honest and open with my audience? Can I let them know that I'm not exactly sure where this video is going to go right now? And that's enough. You know what I mean? I think even with this like stream of consciousness conversation that I'm having with you here, where I don't know where it's going to go, where I'm going to start these episodes every day, let them work out. I'll get some practice. I'll get better. I will have some time. I mean, sometimes I'm just when I'm driving, I have like, bam, I have a full topic for like 3 hours I want to talk about. When I'm in the shower or theta mode or stuff. When you sit down in this environment, I wouldn't say that it's like uncomfortable, like I don't want to be here. It's more, it's like slightly intimidating because you're putting it on the record. And some of the best times that I'm like, I'm just laying there meditating, and I'm like, just boom, 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 going through a thought proof. I was like, oh, I should record this. But then the second you kind of like recognize it, it's like when you film a proton, you're filming where it was, not where it is. It's a very difficult thing that I want to try to attempt with you guys, which is being here, emptying my brain, my thoughts, and my ideas onto the camera to be helpful and kind of explore the breakdown of topics. And I think it'll get easier because once I post these and they start getting some traction, which I do believe that they will, people will start leaving comments, and then I'll want to answer those questions, and that interaction will be between the two of us. I will say, here, I'm going to end it here, kind of. I want to go over to my Subscribe Star here. I want to do a shameless plug. Oh, we're seeing backstage. How do I get to my tiers that you can join? Here they are. I created some goals. I just started this up, and I created some different goals on the show. First of all, it would be nice. Everything's for free. I don't want to gatekeep any of this. Okay. So just go to Subscribe Star and join the community. If you join for free, for the free tier, you're going to get everything that the 5, 10, 15, 25, 50, 100, 250 people are going to get, right? This is a voluntary tier system. Whatever you can afford for the information, pay that for the information. So if you can't afford anything or it's not worth any value to you, just join the free tier. If it's only worth 5, join the 5. If you find a ton of value in this stuff as it goes on and you want to support me making more of it so other people can get it in your society, join the 250 one. I wanted to create, though, some goals for myself. And the first one here is I want to, the plan would be to get up into one of these tiers here so I can do this full time. Probably like between these two tiers, I can just go full-time creation. But the first goal here is just $250. It's the first circle, the monthly. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Let's have some fun. All right, let me hear what this sounds like for you guys. Let me do the megaphone. Does the megaphone sound? I don't like the megaphone. It's kind of tinny.
What's this? I don't like this. I'm scared. This is scary.
How about this? Hey, everybody. Hi. No.
What's this? This is a monster? What was the other one then? Oh, this is voice digitalizer.
What's this? Oh, it's a robot. How about this? Oh, this is pretty cool, but I don't like this either.
Censor button and then ducking. So I don't really have a godly voice, or pronounce a voice. So I'll just use my own voice. The first circle is a monthly live stream goal. So if I hit $250 a month, I'll launch a monthly live stream, a longer format, unscripted philosophy session where we dig into the truth, reason, whatever you're questioning this month. Reward is a recurring monthly. So basically, my first goal, get $250 a month. And then once a month, we'll all get together, anybody who wants to. By $250 a month, I think I'll have enough people that would show up to a live stream to talk and ask questions that it would be worth it to you and me. You know what I mean? And then let's just go from there. Let's just see what happens. So I would really help if you could go check out my website. All the stuff's going to BitChute, and I write a couple of show notes on that. And then on the website, if you bring it up here, there's a search engine, and you can search for like war, right? And all the videos where I talk about war at some point will come up. You could search free speech. And all the videos where I talk about free speech are going to come up. And what I actually did to make this easier, and I didn't do this prior, so the search will be better because I fixed it, is, so, here's my recent video from the other day. Little description, little talk in the video, all the chapters, the show notes where you can support me and donate. But then I put the transcripts, the full transcripts at the bottom. And the reason that I'm going to do this with the website is so anytime I use these stream of consciousness stuff, I don't know exactly what I'll be talking about, right? And by putting that there, it'll give you a search bar up here where you can search a topic. And anytime that it came up in the transcripts or whatever of that video, you'll be able to go in and see what my thoughts on it, and you can get some ideas or some jump off points for yourself. So that's it. If we're 50 minutes in, and I just want to say, if you've made it 50 minutes in, I really appreciate you. I hope that you found some value here. If you made it in this far, you're probably a super fan, and I need some help. Could you like the video service that you're watching this on and leave a comment? Whether that's X, whether that's YouTube, whether that's Rumble, whether that's Midshoot. If in the future, when I get a little bit more comfortable behind the camera, I'm going to go through, because I'm going to start doing some risque, taboo topics. Everything will go on BitChute and my website first. Subscribe Star is where it'll kind of show you what's going on. So like if you join the Subscribe Star, if you're interested, when I have a taboo video, it'll go on the Subscribe Star first, right? It'll go on here and it'll say, hey, this video's up. It's on BitChute. It's on my website. It's on Rumble. But I need to edit it for YouTube. But if you want to watch it, it's here, right? So if you only follow me on YouTube, you're only going to be able to get the stuff that YouTube allows. If you want an idea of where I'm at, sign up for the Subscribe Star for free. And I'll let you know when a new blog comes out and where to find the stuff as it gets rolled out. And then you'll be on the know. And if you've made it this far, help me grow the show. Tell a friend that might be interested in this. Share this with a friend that might be interested in this. And yeah, that's it. Have a good weekend, or just have a good day, or a good hour, or a good whatever, because I don't know when I'm going to post this. So, okay, no editing. Thanks. Bye.